happy you were able to join us for another episode of the Network Podcast for Healthcare Consultants. I am Elle Pearson, nursing leader turned healthcare consultant. I also coach healthcare professionals interested in entering the consulting industry. And I'm so happy to welcome our special guest today, Alicia Williams. And Alicia Williams is a certified corporate trainer. And I'm happy that you are here, Alicia. How are you doing today?
I am well, Elle. I am well. Oh, I rhyme. I'm well. I'm
Listen,
well.
I have my, as healthcare consultants, we are forever learners. So, Alicia, I have my notebook ready because I'm going to be taking notes too.
Okay.
And happy to dive into the conversation today. And healthcare consultants, I hope that you have your notebooks and notepads also to take notes. I had a conversation with Alicia a few weeks ago, and I knew immediately that I wanted to introduce you to her simply because as healthcare consultants, Alicia, we introduce so many amazing solutions to our clients, but something I'm extremely passionate about is educating my clientele. And for me and my business, that translates to me also facilitating workshops on service recovery. And I was like, oh, I want to learn more from Alicia because if I can make my trainings better, especially when it comes to, I don't want to be the only one facilitating trainings. How can I get others to do this? Like, train the trainer models. And so once I saw that you were teaching others how to do the same thing, I knew I wanted to share what you do to my audience. So Alicia, if you don't mind, share a little bit about who you are, what you do in business, and all of those great things.
Okay. Thank you, Elle. I appreciate this opportunity to chat about Training Source One. I am the owner and founder of Training Source One. Training Source One is a nationally accredited professional development training organization. So we started out training educators many, many, many years ago. And recently, I implemented the train the trainer. It was pre-COVID that I began the trainer program. The trainer program basically teaches individuals how to create and deliver trainings. So basically my whole platform, it's morphing to coaching, and I'm coaching individuals to become trainers or to increase their expertise and go into the settings. And that's basically what I'm all about. I've been in business since 2006. Been a certified trainer since 2014. And I was accredited in 2018 to provide CEUs that goes along with my trainings.
Yes, yeah. I like the fact that you offer CEUs. I think that's more enticing for the buyer. So we're not only getting, great information, but we're also walking away with some additional CEUs behind our name to maintain our licenses. So that's amazing. So, the great thing about facilitation that I like so much, we're in the healthcare industry. However, when it comes to soft skills like communication and leadership, like you can really market that and sell that to really any industry. So, Alicia, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the core topics that you teach on and or facilitate trainings on in this space?
Well, the first thing in corporate America is diversity. As of lately, it's been COVID precautions, of course, but diversity is the biggest one. It's the one that is mostly requested. And I teach facilitation too. I train, I do workshops for their leaders, and I do ethics. So those are the main ones. But my company is known for catering to the needs of the organization. So I do what you call bidding, RFP, RFQ.
Okay.
And I will bid on something that I think that I can go in there and just kill it, because I think the big part about being a trainer going to the site is knowing your stuff.
Yes.
Know your stuff. If you know your stuff, that's the big part, because you become the expert and they will be happy to hire the expert in that area. So I look for those areas of which I feel that I am adept in. I apply or I bid When the bidding process, I think I'm batting 3 out of 5, I would say.
Mhm.
But I'm constantly bidding, and I look to actually be in networks where the opportunities are just coming to me, Elle. You know what I'm saying? But right now, I'm fishing, I'm hunting, I'm
Yeah,
hunting for it.
Alicia, let's dive a little bit deeper into the bidding conversation because
Yeah,
typically we identify a problem and we're like, okay, I'm the expert when it comes to DEI. So I know for a fact I am well versed when it comes to, all things diversity and inclusion. Are you talking directly to those leaders or are you actually going to their website and looking for RFPs?
exactly. One of my assistants' roles is to go out and look for proposals, RFPs, RFQs that
Mhm.
I may qualify for. That's basically, so I would suggest that if you don't do it, have somebody to do it and look at and give you like a list weekly. And then you decide which ones that you're going to actually go after. Some of them are easy to go after because you have a format. You get the original format. Most of them ask for the very same thing. In my field, which is education, they like for us to create the training first.
Mhm.
We create the training, submit, and then there's a quantitative scoring that they do. You get points according to different areas of your training. So, needless to say, I win all of those, but the ones that I'm unfamiliar with,
Mhm.
I may not have enough experience in the area, but I was like, I'm gonna keep going until I actually get the experience. For instance, ethics.
Oh, Alicia, I can't hear you.
Okay, ethics is one of my trainings,
Okay.
but it is now
Mhm.
because I met the need from an RFP. I learned
Gotcha.
everything I needed to know.
Mhm.
I went up there ready.
Okay.
I went ready. So a lot of things you may not know firsthand, but never, ever, ever not take the opportunity. Because
Yeah.
I think the transference of knowledge, if you
Mhm.
have a skill set to do that, you can transfer any information. And let me just say, there's a difference between a trainer and a facilitator. A
Okay.
facilitator, you don't need to know the information. A facilitator, you're just advocating for the actual topic. You may be facilitating, maybe walking around. The trainer teaches the information. The facilitator just assures that the participants are
Mhm.
obtaining the information. So there's a difference.
Okay.
Whenever I train, my assistant acts as my facilitator because she has them to sign in. She assures that everyone gets a handout. She counts and makes sure everybody is present. So that's a facilitator. You don't
Okay.
have knowledge to be a facilitator. So if someone said, I need to facilitate something that's coming up for me, I'm facilitating a construction company's, it's called Suits and Hard Hats. And I'm facilitating their conference. But do I know construction? No. She contacted me because I am known as a
Mhm.
facilitator as well. So you could be a trainer, a presenter, or a facilitator.
Okay. I'm glad you broke that down. I've
Yes,
never heard it quite that way. So, anyone who is conducting a training essentially would need to have a facilitator on site, just so you're not the only person having to do all your sign ins, do all your surveying at the end, and those types of things.
exactly. Always take an assistant, or if there
Mhm.
is not one, recruit someone that's in the audience. And that's I've always done that too, because a lot of times if you're doing impromptu trainings, like maybe you go to the facility and they say, okay, we can you train Friday? Can you train this Friday? And that happens to me a lot. I meet them and then they're ready to go. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
So be ready. It doesn't mean you have to have an assistant. I don't want everyone to think, oh, I have to have an assistant. No, don't think that because there's ways to do everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Alicia, you mentioned something that stuck out to me. You said when you're going through those RFPs, typically these organizations like you to have the information, the curriculum already together, but you can go through those RFPs and really see what they need to prepare yourself. So that
Yes,
sounds like a really good way. If there's someone new who's not quite sure how to put together their program or their curriculum, you can start looking at RFPs just to get an idea of, okay, I know for a fact I'm interested in leadership development workshops. Let me go look for RFPs under that topic and kind of see exactly what they're looking for. Does that sound about right?
RFPs are basically requests for proposal.
Mm-hmm.
So hold on.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead. Everyone, while Alicia steps away, if you have any questions about corporate training, if you're interested yourself in introducing corporate training or facilitating corporate training to any healthcare organization, be sure to put your questions in the comments. That way we can get all your questions answered while Alicia is here with us.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry, the door was just barely ringing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's okay. We're talking about the difference between RFPs and I think RFQs.
Yes, so our RFP is a request for proposal. That means it's going to be on you how you present that you want to actually work with them.
Mm-hmm.
A request, RFQ, is a request for qualification. That means they give you a checklist of those things that they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go down the checklist and
Okay.
they send it to you. They might ask for your transcript. They may ask for your degrees. They may ask for an example of a training and a
Mm-hmm.
PowerPoint presentation. They may ask for your business. That, and
Mm-hmm.
every RFQ and P is different.
Yes.
So what you'll find is you already need to have an idea of how you're going to present this thing. There is a structure for presenting and facilitating. And one of the things I do, I post almost every day on my Instagram tips for trainers at training source one _ Miss A. But there's a structure. There's introduction, icebreaker, content, wrap up, and conclusion. That's the
Okay.
structure for the training.
Okay.
And I repeat that: introduction,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the topic and the goals for the training.
Okay.
There's an icebreaker, and that's an activity that's based on the topic.
Mm-hmm.
There's the actual content, and that content should be presented in an engaging way. So they're going to be asking things like, how are you going to present, and what is your idea of doing this or doing that. The fourth aspect is wrap up. You're going to wrap up. Wrap up is different than conclusion. Most people get that very mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
They mix it up because they wrap up and they think it's time to go. But wrap up is basically you're highlighting the key points. You're transferring the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you transfer the knowledge, you want to know that they actually obtained that. So how are you going to do that? You're going to do that in a quiz, or are you going to do that by show of hands? Or are you going to do that in small group and they have to tell you what they learned? That's wrap up. Now conclusion is basically walking orders. Like, okay, what happens next?
Okay.
What happens next? In my situation, there is always an assignment because they receive CEUs.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to have an assignment. There's something that it's a little weighty.
Yeah.
They have to do usually a quiz. They do what they call analysis assessment or a quiz. They do an implementation plan where they do like a little brief essay.
Oh,
and
wow.
they submit that back.
Work.
Yes, they have to earn the CEUs, and that's a part of what I do as an accredited provider.
Mm-hmm.
I have to collect all these things. I have to prove that they've earned these CEUs.
Yes.
That would be my conclusion. And that's the way the accredited body has established that you should actually do your training. So I can go over it again. Introduction,
Yes.
the icebreaker, and the icebreaker should always have something to do with your topic. Or you could do an open activity. The content is next, the wrap up, and then the conclusion. Now that's how you build your training design. You start from scratch. What's your topic? Who are you serving? And then you break it down. What are your 3 main objectives? Like, what do you want them to learn? I get my objectives from the key players in the organization, like whoever contracts me with me.
Yes.
What they need.
Mhm.
I have so many trainings, Elle, because they were built based on the needs of the organization. So they kind of added up. Although they gave me what they needed, it still belongs to Training Source One. That training
Right.
belongs to Training Source One, but it gave me an idea as far as exactly what they need. And that's what I would say if anybody, if you're going into these organizations, these businesses, you definitely want to make sure that you are bringing exactly what they need. And that's going to come with your first meeting with
Mhm.
the key players in the organization. They're
Yes.
going to tell you what we need. For an example, my biggest client is a child care center, big child, several daycare centers. So she gets all her teachers at one site, and she always tell me, she say, Miss A, we need this month, or we need this, and this, and I build that training based on her needs.
Yes. Absolutely.
Happy, and I'm always, because I can actually cater to her staff. I
Mhm.
cater to her. I make sure I bring it. I bring it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And I think that all ties into what I share with my audience also. Like any solution you introduce, before you introduce anything, essentially, you need to have a conversation. So after you obtain that contract, like make sure you have a conversation with those leaders to really understand their needs. And it's
Yeah.
no different when it comes to creating a training program. And Alicia, I assume you're at the point now where you've created and designed so many programs to now where you don't have to go through this process where you're recreating all over again. Like the information is there.
Right. I've gotten to the point where I can teach others.
Yes.
Um, I didn't go out until I was able to do that. I didn't start coaching until I felt like I was able to do that, because there are variables when it
Yes.
comes to training, and the variables will be your industry,
Mhm.
but it's uniform as far as how. It's,
Yeah.
it's
You know what, Alicia? My question to you is how has the pandemic, I know we're going into that post pandemic phase, but are you still conducting virtual trainings? Like, did the pandemic impact your business or did it increase business?
I went to virtual almost immediately, Elle,
Mhm.
almost immediately. And that was the best thing ever, because they start reaching out. Although they have requirements for CEUs every year, and they were getting grace period, but they weren't getting too long of a grace period. They might get an extra year, an extra month
Mhm.
before the year's out, to submit their trainings. So it forced me, it's like, oh, I got to do something. I got to do something. So I start putting things in ebooks, digital trainings, um, virtual training, Zooms like crazy.
Yes.
I've never talked so much in front of the computer ever, but they still had the need. The leaders in the industry, in the education industry, has to at least 4.5 CUs every year. That's 45 clock hours. So I was pretty busy because
Yeah.
it's still a requirement to fulfill.
Mhm.
Now, in the midst of that, I was doing the RFPs, RFQs, and bidding, and doing conferences and whatever it is that I could. Because like I don't know if I told you to mention that, but I my whole goal is to make a certain amount of money each week, So
Yeah.
that's how I determined. I was just getting work.
Absolutely. Like the transparency of being in business, especially as a consultant. Like I think we may or may not have this conversation. Like I'm intentional about my income goals for every month. I break that down by the week. So there's a whole process to obtaining these contracts because there's goals that we have to meet when you're working for yourself. Alicia,
Exactly.
um, a question that pops out of my mind is, you've gotten to this point to where you have the material, you've created a platform to where they're coming to you. They know they can get insight on a specific topic. They can walk away with CEUs. And I like that, especially for those of us who are in healthcare, because we all know that nurses, physicians, clinicians, administrators, they need CEUs also. So that's a big plus. But when you've gotten to the point to where you want to remove yourself from the day-to-day trainings, one thing that I love about certain leaders like Brene Brown, I've had my eye on her. I didn't even know Brene Brown had an actual train the trainer program. So you can take her curriculum, get certified through her program, and reteach her information. Like same thing with John C. Maxwell, right? Like he's
Right.
created all of these books, these workbooks. I mean, to where you can get certified through his program, and now you can go out and teach organizations. I feel like that is the end game. Like that's the
Mm.
end game right there. So let's say, for example, we've gone through, we've created a curriculum, and we're ready to train the trainer. Like, what do we do first when we know for a fact that our information is solid gold? Like, I know for a fact my information on service recovery is amazing. I would love to create a train the trainer program. What advice would you give me if I was interested in doing that?
Well, I would say get all your content together, format it, and just like I did for my company, Elle, I created the training trainer for my company. You can create a train the trainer for your company. So it's a matter of you formatting it exactly how you want it. Like I'm sure if you have it, you have a module, you have those things that they learn in each module. And if it's geared toward the trainer, you're training the trainer. You're training the trainer, just happens to be in the healthcare.
Mhm.
Or you're training the healthcare consultant, correct?
Well, we're consultants and we train organizations.
So you train the trainer. So what are you thinking of doing? I want to answer your question like better because
Yeah.
it seems.
So I know for a fact that you need to protect your IP. So I myself already have, I have an attorney that just kind of makes sure that information is safe and protected. But what are the steps to, okay, I have an actual set program in which I do. So I already have the workshops in place, but now I want to open it up to other consultants who can go out and speak and train on my behalf. So I guess it would require um, actually getting certified through me. So maybe that needs to happen, like certifying the actual program itself, which your program is certified, correct? Or
My
accredited.
certified is accredited and certified through ISN.
Okay. What's the organization again? ISN?
IACET, and it stands for the International Association for Continuing Education and Training.
Okay. Ooh, I'd be curious to know a little bit about that process. How was that for you?
Oh,
It was a doozy.
a struggle. Oh my goodness! But you know what I'll say to anyone: if it's hard,
It's worth
do it.
doing.
Do it. It's worth doing it. It's worth doing it. It is rigorous. It is rigorous. But it took me a year to get everything together. But the process, I don't know if I told you, but I'm in the middle of writing a book. Well, actually, I'm done, and I'm in the middle of editing it. And one of the things I tell at the very last chapter is becoming accredited. And I give the step on becoming accredited because one of the first things you need to do, you need to position yourself to have trainings, have a training format. That's what has me coaching trainers now, because that's one of the first things you have to do. They look to see if you're training, if you already have like a training program.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have a training program without offering CEUs. You can, if you have a training company, if your company is known as a training, because before I gave CEUs, I was giving in-service hours.
Okay.
I was giving in-service hours. I was going to the sites and giving in-service hours. It was through that venture that I realized that they need CEUs. So I went on that process to get the CEUs. But I can tell you, I went to a conference.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I don't know if I told you my story that I worked at the college. I worked at the college for 9 years, and I was doing both. A little training on the side, and I was working at the college. the college basically didn't like that I was doing both. So they
Yeah.
told me to choose. I chose me. So, and once I chose me, I went off. I started going to every conference there was. Like, I was doing it for free, just for exposure. So this one conference that I did for free, I got the most out of that conference. Not
Mhm.
only did I get clients, but someone told me that I could become a sole proprietor. I could become an accredited training provider as a sole proprietor, as an S corporation. I was like, what? Okay, so she planted the seed. So I started investigating who or what, who or how I become accredited and with who.
Yeah.
So I have the same accreditations as the college I worked for 9 years.
Oh,
I'm
that's
not
amazing.
I'm not a competitor. And I knew that I need to go through their accreditation because they did exactly what I do.
Yeah.
So I already learned how to do everything, the all the administrative part. So it made sense. So what I started doing is I started soliciting schools to train during their conferences, during their professional development days. And I did that. And I got a roster of trainings because that's one of the things you need. You need to have a roster of trainings that has evaluations that they can attest to your style. And they also look at their training format.
Okay. So
Their
when you say the
training
training
format.
format, that's the same format you introduced us to earlier, right, Alicia? The introduction,
Yeah,
the ideas, content.
those are the steps because there's a
Okay.
training called the training design. That's
Mhm.
the bigger part of what they'll be looking for, like your training, your actual training design.
Yeah.
So,
Alicia, quick question. So for
mhm,
the accreditation that you obtained, did they have a certain amount of hours where you had to train? So should we be like if this is an association that we are like, okay, you know what, we want to get accredited through them, of course we'll be documenting those training hours to show as proof that we've done. So document everything.
document everything, and I'll just tell you this: a way that you document everything. You have a sign-in sheet.
Mhm.
You have your actual presentation. You have some type of quiz. You have evaluations. And then there's a form called a instructor feedback form. And this is very good for the students love this because when they turn in their assignments, you have to grade them. So they know, exactly what was done correctly or what needs help.
Mhm.
Although you're going to be granted the CQs if they submit it, those are the things. So repeat that, Elle. Did you write them down?
I did. So you need a sign-in sheet, your presentation, a quiz, evaluation, and an instructor feedback form.
Instructor feedback form.
Mhm.
So those are
Okay.
the things for everything, every training you do. Of course, the presentation is going to have the handouts for them. If you're training, you're going to make a training a handout.
Yeah.
So they'll have their handouts. But for every training, that's how you get the ball rolling. That's
Yeah.
how you get into the first
Okay.
step of
Yeah.
being accredited because they're
Yeah.
going to look.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you are accredited. It just gives you that, just the social proof, the academic proof is there. So I think that's something worth looking into. And I'm excited about that.
So ISA, International Association for Continuing Education and Training. And that platform is a national platform, Elle.
Yeah, I'm excited about looking more into that. And I would advise anybody who's tuned in to look into
Mhm.
that also. You said it took you a year. Any tips?
It took me, and the only reason why it took me a year, and Elle, I have to tell you, I was scared to death. I
Why
was
are you
because the package looks more intimidating
scared?
than it actually is once you break it up step
Okay.
by step. Then they give you so much coaching.
Mhm.
They offer so much coaching
Okay.
throughout. So they'll give you opportunities. You'll pay for it, of course, but they'll give you opportunities to be tutored
Mhm.
through the process. So you'll be
Okay.
tutored through the process. And every little question doing it's an online application. So as you're doing it, they for supposed to ask you to provide proof of your business, of your existing business. That will be your articles of incorporation. So that's how simple it is. Once you dig into it,
Yeah.
they're going to give you, I have to say it's 106 questions, and there's maybe like 70 things that you upload.
Okay.
But that's what took a year. It's like I really had to, once you're done, it's a whole school. You have I'm Training Source One is considered a school.
Oh wow.
Because
Okay.
you do everything. You do your training handbook, you do employee handbook, everything.
Mhm.
Everything from the rooter to the tutor. That's what I say.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So you need to get everything organized pretty much right now.
Yeah,
This is
you
something
get
to think
organized.
about.
I think if you're thinking of getting accredited, I would say download the application, or
Yeah.
download the request, the list of things that they need. You start thinking about those things that you already have. And because I was already trained, it's so many, and I've been in business since 2014. So, well, I have been training since 2014. So it made it very easy to morph my business, and just it streamlined it so much. It really did.
Yeah.
It
So
really did.
any new trainings that you introduce to your product wheelhouse that you want to provide CEUs for, do you have to get that information or that new material approved? So if you have
No,
a new course, no?
once once your company is accredited, everything that comes is deemed as accredited worthy.
That's
So
amazing.
they'll do a site visit, because they
Okay.
do require to have a site. So they'll do a site visit. They will come and basically go over all your books,
Mhm.
financials, everything. So it's almost like it's a monitoring that you've never experienced
Yeah.
before,
Hmm.
never experienced. But when they leave there, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And see,
oh,
that also gives you the advantage to increase your prices also. So with
absolutely,
that accreditation, you can really leverage. I'm just thinking there's so much you can do with that. So, you've just gone to another level in business.
yeah.
Alicia, what advice would you give to a new consultant who wants to offer training to organizations, specifically health organizations, or really any industry needs a lot of the support and teachings that we offer? What are some tips or some advice that you would offer someone who really does want to take their knowledge and translate it into workshops and training programs?
I would say the first thing you want to do is have the product, have the training of what you want to offer. Seek out those organizations that need of that topic, and position yourself to meet and network with those individuals within that organization. Ask for a meet and greet. Every organization has a professional development aspect. Every organization, because they're required to train their staff. They've been choosing the online portions and everything, but every organization has a professional development piece. Some of their budgets are higher than others, but every organization has it. And because they have it, your research will actually allow you to seek out what they're looking for. And they make it very clear. They make it very clear. If there's anything, one of the things I do, I go on municipalities purchasing department, and they'll say exactly what they're looking for. Go to the county. I'm certified in everything, like every I'm locally, statewide, nationally. So I'm certified and accredited. So I'm certified to be able to through all the businesses,
Yeah.
and though that way you're going to constantly get floods of inquiries about, okay, who can do this. You'll receive what you call notifications
Hmm.
to bid in all these different entities that you are positioned to actually train.
Yes. Yeah, Alicia, something you know, I know you target a lot of the state contracts. I'm not sure if you've tapped into the federal contracts, but even with training, listen, if anybody is interested in training, yes, healthcare is amazing, but there's also opportunities to obtain government contracts and state contracts in the training space also. So I'm glad you touched on that, because one thing that I did learn while I was going through some of the federal bids is they have the information of anyone that you need to contact to find out more information. So when you see those RFPs, like the contact information is there. You just have to be willing to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna email this person to request a little bit more information and build a relationship from there. So there's so many opportunities in this space. Alicia, I appreciate you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, can you share how the listeners can reach out to you, contact you, and build a relationship with you also?
Okay, well, I can be reached at awilliams at trainingsource1.com. That's by email. Social media platform for Training Source One underscore Mrs. A. LinkedIn is Alicia M. Williams, MSL CCCT or something. Facebook is Training Source One. And any other way. You can
Yeah.
go to the site at www.trainingsource1.com. I do have opportunities for trainers to collaborate with me and offer CEUs under their trainings. I would need to vet the training, of course, but there is an opportunity for trainers to collaborate with me. And I'll send a template to you, Elle, as far as the email that I send. Once somebody asks about it, I'll
Yeah.
send it to you so you'll see exactly what it means. Since I've gotten trademarked, I've slowed down a great deal because my lawyers doesn't suggest that I share my platform like I did before. But I'm careful and mindful.
Yes.
I'm careful and mindful because
Yes.
I know there's a need to get in the space. I know there's a need, and it was very hard for me. And I just don't want it to be hard for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many organizations that need our help and our expertise. And I feel like training is just an amazing deliverable for any consultant. So I appreciate you so much, Alicia.
No problem.
And everyone, I appreciate you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Network Podcast. I hope you took away some gems and some golden nuggets from Alicia tonight. There's so many opportunities with training. And I hope that you are inspired and motivated to take your expertise and train a healthcare organization in need. There's so many opportunities to educate leaders and their staff. Everyone have a blessed and prosperous night. I'll see you next time. Bye.